Hey yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of the Review at Rob Show. Appreciate you hitting that play and coming over here to hang out with me. On this episode, we're talking about the film 28 Years Later. This is the brand new film in the, I guess we call it the 28 Days franchise. Don't know if it actually has a name, but hey, in a world where we call it the Dark Knight trilogy, even though that first movie's called Batman Begins, we can probably call this 28 Days franchise. My vote, call it the Rage Virus franchise. But nonetheless, I already talked about that film 28 years later. And then after that review, I'm going to talk about some news that's going on around the movie realm, man. So, again, appreciate you coming over here to hang out with me. Without further ado, let's jump into this movie. There's one of the mini posters for this film. 28 days it began, 28 weeks it spread, and 28 years it evolved. 28 years later is rated R for grisly images, graphic nudity, brief sexuality, language, strong, bloody violence. Film runs in at 1 hour, 55 minutes, so just a shy bit under 2 hours for this movie, and is classified as a horror mystery thriller film. Now, if you're new to the show, I like to call that the trifecta of awesome. But let's see, Academy Award winning director Danny Boyle and Academy Award nominated writer Alex Garland reunite for 28 years later, a terrifying new story set in the world created by 28 days later. It's been almost 3 decades since the rage virus escaped a biological weapons laboratory, and now, still in a ruthlessly enforced quarantine, some have found ways to exist around the infected. One such group of survivors lives on a small island connected to the mainland and is heavily defended. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission into the dark heart of the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors as well. So there you go. There's your synopsis for 28 years later, man. And I like that. I like the synopsis didn't give away too much information here. So kind of what you're going on. I'm going to talk around myself to try not to spoil anything. If you've seen the other 28 Days franchise, first and foremost, you don't necessarily have to. Like you get the gist, going into the movie, and they give you a good idea of what's going on to get you reconnected at the beginning of the movie with like news flashes and stuff like that, letting you know what's going on. Um, so not necessary to see the other two films if you want to. More power to you and all that stuff. But it's in that same vein with this franchise. Still the same vibe, kind of the same pacing and all that stuff. It's a lot more. I would say I'm surprised it wasn't classified this. I would classify it more as a drama film, especially this one. This one's like a drama movie that has infected around it, right? Kind of like the Walking Dead show, right? Mostly drama, but has like a zombie show up every now and then. That's kind of how you can go about with this movie and all that stuff. So basically, it's a family drama. It's a family dynamic. It's coming of age story of a young kid, 12 years old, whose father's taking him to the mainland for the first time to help him, learn how to be on the guard, right? Be able to take down the infected and be able to search for supplies and all this stuff. Now, 28 years later, who knows if those supplies are good, any good? Like 28 years, they're probably heavily expired at that point. Um, if there's anything left at all to begin with, 28 years later, and all that stuff. So you deal with that, but there's also a mom dynamic in this movie as well, where the mother of the child is going through something in this film, and you see the dynamic of what's going on between her story and the father and the kid's story and all this stuff. Like that's the main story of this film is the kid's love for his mother and all that stuff, and going into this world and trying to learn all these things to help protect his family and learn how to live in this now quarantine world that they are involved in. Now, in that synopsis, it did mention how some of the survivors are getting infected by the infected as well over there, and how things are changing. So, if the reason I would tell you to probably watch the other movies to get the idea of what kind of zombies these are, like fast zombies, right? Um, so you got some of them in this movie still, but there's also some like use a Last of Us term if you've seen the Last of bloaters, right? Like bigger like zombie creatures and all this stuff kind of crawling on the ground that like they're infected with the virus. Seems like the virus is taking a good hold on them. So they're crawling on the ground and all that stuff. So you have those things coming at you. A lot of nudity, by the way. All these infected nude, like all of them are nude. Um, so you got all that stuff going on, and there's this new thing they've introduced in this movie. I don't think this is a spoiler by any means, but there's something called an alpha, which is like a big freaking infected, like big infected, very smart, and all that stuff that you have to deal with. And I think we see them the most in this movie. Um, like you still get like your basic thing with these infected films, with these zombies in these movies is that they're very fast, running, flashing images in front of you, like get pull up, throw something gnarly in front of you, and all that stuff is kind of what this franchise likes to do. So they do that stuff, and you see them run really quick and like jump on people and all that stuff. Nothing, out of the ordinary there. The alphas are the ones that are like crazy in this movie. Like those ones are freaking huge, right? So big dudes, and again to show you the poster, doing kills like that. Like that's literally on the poster right there. So you get kills mostly like that in the movie, which are fine. I call it the predator kill and all that stuff. So you got that stuff going on in this movie. So that's like your horror aspect that's in the film, and all that stuff. So the main thing to me though is that this movie, and the best part of this movie is the story between the son and the mother and the way it plays out throughout the film. Like they did a really good job with that. That's the key point that's taken away from me in this movie is how they handled that and how they made it work, and the realm of what's going on in this film and the quarantine and all that stuff. Like tear jerked. Like I got tears in my eyes with this, the stories they were telling there and all that stuff. So I give them credit where credit's due there. Other than that, didn't really care too much about the movie. And to be fair, I go back to the 28 Days Later film. Didn't really care too much about that movie either. I remember when I was younger, when that movie came out, I had to sneak in to see it. I do not support doing that, but young and dumb me did that. Got a ticket for freaking Spy Kids 3D. Saw that movie, got a ticket for that one. Didn't see that movie. Went to 28 Days Later, which was playing at the same time. Um, with a person I will not condemn with that story either. But I remember leaving the theater. I'm like, I should have seen Spy Kids 3D instead, because what's going on? Because it's a very slow paced movie, right? And for like a young kid and all that stuff, you're gonna be dumb and not fully pay attention to stuff like that. Um, so years later, I went back and revisited it and watched it again for an actual podcast show, early day podcasting when it was Disnoid. So we had our buddies at the Haunters podcast come on the show with us and talk about that movie. Both of those shows no longer exist, by the way. But we talked about that movie and still wasn't a fan of it and all that stuff. So I missed it for me. 28 weeks later, I don't think I ever watched. And if I did, I don't remember a single thing about it, which seems to be on par because a lot of people are not fans of that movie. So going into this film, I was like, whatever, I've seen that trailer multiple times in theaters, seeing other horror films. Like it gives like a very creepy vibe with that freaking recording that's playing over again. Don't, don't. That freaking thing. I just imagine a Muppets version of 28 Days Later. That would be insane, and I want it. But it didn't do much for me, man. Like it's one of those things where, other than that really good story that they were telling with the mother and the son, other than that, the rest of the movie is kind of meh. Like, it's kind of run of the mill kind of horror film, kind of meh. Not run of the mill horror film, but like run of the mill for what these movies are. Like, it's not doing too much insane stuff. And another telling thing about this movie is, like, my favorite part of it, of course, was that story. But the main thing that anybody is talking about with this movie online, anything that I've seen anybody talking about with this movie, come back online. Main thing is the freaking one of the alphas. One of the main alphas you spend the most time with is freaking slinging his big dong around in the movie, running around. That's what everybody's talking about on the internet. They're not talking about how the movie is. They're not talking about any of the zombie kills in the movie. They're not talking about the story of the film. They're not talking about any of that. The majority of people, dang near all of the people that I've seen talking about 28 years later, and honestly, I've seen more people not a fan of this movie, but the main people talking about this film are talking about that moment, talking about that thing happening. And that's another telltale for you about what this movie, you know, what this movie is going to last as. It made a good amount of money. I think it's like I saw something earlier where it's made more money than I think any horror movie has this year. So obviously they can do more. They're setting up for it to be a trilogy. The end very much feels like that. There's no credit scene or anything like that. Um, so it's very much leading into another movie and everything, which fine, whatever. But yeah, I wasn't overly thrilled with this movie, and it just kind of fits the same vibe for me with the other 28 Days Later film that I watched. It is what it is. Like, again, it has that one good part of it. The rest of it, whatever. Like, whatever. It's kind of mid tier kind of horror film that I've seen this year. That's what I meant to say earlier. It's like mid tier of the movies I've seen this year as far as horror goes and all that stuff, as well as movies in general. I think it's kind of low on my rankings list and all that, but that's me, man. It's also a lot of people on the internet, but a lot of people love it as well. And that's the way it works. Movies are, again, I say it every single episode because it's true. Movies are extremely, extremely subjective. You're going to either like it or love it. You're not wrong either way. You have that choice to make. It's your choice. But that's my quick thoughts on it without spoiling anything. If you saw it over the weekend, let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. But overall, if you want to see a big freaking infected smart thing with its dong flopping all around, that's your movie for you right there, man. So 28 years later, that's that's the main thoughts of everybody on the internet. It's the only thing they're freaking talking about, and that's again my ending there on this here review of 28 years later, man. So that's the end of the review. Jumping into news now. Some things to talk about. DC wise, the Batman Brave and the Bold film. James Gunn gave us a little bit of update on that. That he is working with the writer to make sure he gets the story right, because he did say himself that Batman is the most important character in DC, and that's the big character he's working on now. Of course, we're very close to Superman releasing, and the big start of the DCU. It already started with Creature Commandos, but we're running from there with Superman. It's going to start getting things going even bigger. So that was good news right there, man, to get all that stuff figured out and all that, because we've been waiting for some Batman news. And the only Batman news we've been getting is that the Matt Reeves Batman film keeps getting pushed back. Right now, it's still that same place. So excited for that freaking movie and Superman and everything. Like, so excited for the DCU starting up. Huge DC guy if you didn't know already. On the other side of things, the Marvel side of things, it has been announced that John Bernthal will be joining the cast of the next Spider-Man film. Love to hear that. I'm a John Bernthal fan, man. Like, he's so freaking good. I did see The Accountant too. Didn't do a review for it. Wasn't overly a big fan of that movie either, but he was awesome in it. Like, that movie picked up for me when he showed up. Um, He's good. He's good in everything he does, man. So good to see him in there. Good to see the Punisher back. Loved that Punisher show on Netflix, and I'm excited to see him back. I think he was in the Daredevil show recently as well. Have not watched that yet, but the new Daredevil show, I know he's in the other one, but I'm excited about that. Like, that's cool, and it kind of feels like they're going to keep the next Spider-Man stuff kind of grounded, which kind of, the neighborhood Spider-Man, which is kind of funny because he was in space and all that stuff. But getting back down to that, we've got so many stories like involved in that movie as well. We, now people not knowing who he is and all that stuff, and he's dealing with the passing of, that's possible spoiler, so we're not going to go there, but so many things going on in that movie, so can't wait to see how they do that. Friday the 13th Crystal Lake show on Peacock has begun filming, so that's good news. We've been freaking waiting and hoping that nothing would go off against that, and that is on the run, so they're doing that very well. Speaking of Friday the 13th, plug my other show real quick. I have a show called Into the Fog with Wolfman Rob here on this very YouTube channel. We're talking Halloween Horror Night stuff. Talked about Friday the 13th announcement. So excited for that, man. They've announced an original. There's rumors that there's going to be more announcements going on this week. So be on the lookout for a new Into the Fog with Wolfman Rob coming soon, of course. And let's see. Last bit of news to talk about is Pirates of the Caribbean is back in the rumor mill. It seems to come back every few weeks or months. This time is from a direct quote from Orlando Bloom, who said Pirates of the Caribbean 6 with Johnny Depp. Keira Knightley is dressed by Orlando Bloom, saying, quote, "There's been talk. I can't say anything at the moment because I really don't know. They're trying to work out what it would all look like. I personally think it would be great to get the band back together. That would be great, but there are always different ideas, so we'll see where it lands." Ever since that case ended with Johnny Depp, things have been looking better there for his return to the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. He has a movie coming out with Penelope Cruz soon, maybe next year. Not 100% sure what the release date is that, but I know they're doing that, and he's getting more roles and stuff like that. This is heating up, and have Orlando Bloom say, quote, "There's been talk." Um, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for all of us Pirates of the Caribbean fans, or Caribbean, however you want to say it. So, yes, give me more. Like, I'm more than willing to see more of the Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever you want to call it, film franchise, and all that stuff, man. I think they did a great job with those movies. They're very entertaining. They're exciting, and We all love Johnny Depp. So bring that back in and get that franchise back going, man. But that's gonna do it for this here episode. Appreciate you hanging out with me as always. Hope you have a wonderful time with the episode. I'm a goofball. I just randomly speak. The only stuff I have is like the little details, and then I just ramble off, and stuff like that. But that's my thoughts on 28 years later. Again, if you saw the film, let me know what you think in the comments. Nobody's wrong. You can like or not like a movie. That's fine. Um, and then we talk some news there, DCU, MCU, Pirates U, all that kind of stuff, man. So as always, appreciate you hanging out with me. I like to always remind you that you matter, man. Like you're capable of incredible, incredible things. So trust in yourself, believe in yourself, give yourself some ease. Be gentle with yourself, man. And I just keep following those dreams because they'll come true for you because you're capable of incredible, incredible things and you truly do matter, man. And I like to always remind you that, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times. One only remembers to turn on the lights. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, and year. As always, remember what I just told you there. I haven't done one of these review episodes in a while. It's been mostly HHN shows, but still love reviewing movies. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you next episode.